Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is Maybe We're Just Rambling. You're your host, I'm Stuart.
I'm Rebecca.
And this is our podcast where, as the name implies, maybe we just ramble. Sometimes we have exactly what we're going to talk about, and most times we don't.
Most of the time we end up going off on tangents.
Absolutely. It is now Monday. We usually get a podcast out on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and we are late. I'm going to take the blame for that one. If you are an avid listener, the last couple of weeks we've talked about our vehicles. My truck now does not look like it did then, as I had said before. It's ready to go for the track. It's loud, it's mean, it's fast, all the above. And it's the reason why this podcast is late, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
We also had a wedding we went to. That was a whole lot of fun.
It was really beautiful.
A friend of mine, Josh, and his new wife, Aubrey, got married in the Hill Country. And now they are off to Florida to start their lives. What else should I say for the introductions that you want me to start doing some?
That was amazing. That was amazing. I want you to, I'm always worried because I feel like I am like the social media manager in this relationship. I always feel like I run the risk of like wholesale taking over everything. And this is supposed to be a project that we are like equal partners in. And so I never want my voice to drown yours out. And so I've been trying to encourage you to like step up and lead us in. And this week you have, and I thought you did a really good job. But yeah, we're a little bit late. Oh well.
Oops.
It's going to happen. We are living life. And as much as we love doing this podcast, it's very much like a secondary thing for us. And so when something's going to fall off, it'll probably be this podcast. But we always will do our best to be consistent. But we had a very full weekend. I mean, you had everything with your truck, and that was like a full, really, you were doing stuff on your truck all week and then all through the weekend too. And then we had the wedding, and it was beautiful. I'm really happy that we were able to witness it. And we got to see some of your old friends that we hadn't seen quite literally since the last time one of your friends got married, and that was really cool too. So we had a very, very full plates, very full hearts. And now here we are to kind of talk about it all. And also to just talk about the season, which is crazy. I mailed off our Christmas cards today. I had wanted to get it done a whole lot sooner, but I don't know. I feel like I've been playing catch up with the season since after Thanksgiving. In past years, I've liked to try to get the tree up and everything like that day after Thanksgiving. But we went and got a live tree at a local Christmas tree farm, and it took a little bit of time to coordinate that and getting everything put up with school and life competing for our attention. It's been a work in progress, but I got everybody's Christmas cards sent out, and that was a lot of fun. We made our own this year, and I love sending out cards. It's something I've always done, and to add a little bit more of a personal touch this year was really cool too. So I'm looking forward to people getting those. But yeah, it's hard to believe that it's Christmas because I feel like I'm still kind of like in recovery from Thanksgiving.
Well, we were busy. We've been very busy.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a very full plate. Thankfully, I like having full plates.
It's not a bad thing.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Whenever there's nothing going on, feels like something's wrong. Not
Mm-hmm.
saying that I like the drama or anything like that.
No.
But you have to be doing something. You have to be moving forward with yourself to get any kind of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were not really lazy bums or anything over the summer. We did a lot of things, and we moved around a lot and went on our travels. But now that we are finally a little more stationary, we are checking boxes off for how we want our life to be going. It feels more complete. I mean, there's fulfillment there.
Mm-hmm. There is. Yeah, both of us are going to be finishing our first round of classes this week, which feels really, really good. This week is probably going to be kind of hectic because they always pile on like the heavier duty assignments right at the end, but we'll get through it.
Conveniently, that stuff is right at Christmas too.
Yeah.
How could they?
Yeah, it's the only drawback with rolling mini mesters is they can kind of coincide inconveniently with some things, but it'll be fine. We'll get through it. And then we have the holidays, which you and I look forward to so much because it gives us a chance to reconnect with family. And that's actually what we're talking about today.
Wait. Hold up 1 second.
Hmm.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I feel stressed.
Why?
I just feel so. I don't know, the past couple of weeks, and we have like a lot of different little pots on the fire. And if I have to be completely and totally transparent and honest, I have felt really freaking stressed.
Yeah, that's fair. You can.
Life ebbs and flows, and you have your peaks and your valleys. And I know like everything is fine. Like our life is so good, and we have so much to be grateful and thankful for. But there's also like so many little moving parts and things to think about. And I feel like I'm trying to balance all of these different things. It can be really overwhelming sometimes, and I like am feeling that a little bit.
Well, I think that's why you and I go together really, really well, is because it's a good thing to always be worried about something. Well, all right, no, that's a really bad way to put that. It's a good thing to have things on your mind and want to like keep pursuing things and stay on top of things.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm also the kind of person that if it's like, all right, I've got these 4 things I want to get done this evening and I only get 3 of them done, it's like, it'll be all right. It'll still be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
It takes a balance of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that means there's dirty dishes when you wake up.
Yeah.
But also, if you run yourself too hard, then you run the risk of being, out of control.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
out of control. No, I'm just kidding.
Now you tell me. No, I think we do really balance each other out well in that aspect. It's definitely a classic case of opposites attracting, but yeah, I'll be fine. It's all about the stress management, and I'll get through the evening and I'll do some yoga tonight, and then I'll feel fine and I'll jump in tomorrow completely refreshed. So it'll be okay. How are you?
I'm doing well. I think one of the big boxes that we checked off today is we've been needing a couple little things for our RV, and RVs are just so particular, such particular things
Mm-hmm.
that you've just got to, the aftermarket's really not there. So you have to go to a dealership that sells the kind of RV that you have, and then you have to order the part through them, and they get it from the dealer.
Or
Then
manufacturer.
they get it, yeah, then they get it from the manufacturer, and the manufacturer gets it from the company that does it, and then it's like this really long supply chain to get your stuff, and some of the stuff's finally on the way. I think the last of the stuff's finally on the way.
It is.
It's like, finally.
We got that confirmation. Yeah, that does feel really, really good, because that's
like,
been a huge point of stress for me.
Yeah, it's just like, I want my stuff to be like in tip-top shape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if something wasn't, like if your motor wasn't running right in your vehicle, or you're just staring at a check, some of y'all, no offense, some people will let a check engine light sit there for their whole life.
Yep.
And
no lie.
I mean, and I guess it takes all kinds of people,
It
because
does.
if everybody took it to a mechanic, they wouldn't have any time to work on anybody's stuff. But then there's also the people that if something comes up, or like me, where I pull this thing out of my dash, plug it into my truck, and it's like, all right, what's it telling me? What's going on here? But staying on top of things in that regard is good.
Yeah, it is. And knowing that, I mean, we've been like staying after this supply chain issue from the very beginning. Like, I think we've harassed that lady at the RV station so much. Like, we're on first name basis
She
at
really
this point. And I think she hates us a little bit.
She messed up whenever she texted me with her personal cell phone number.
Yeah, that was a dumb move on her part.
So if she doesn't answer her phone in its business hours, and it's not between 11 and 12, you best believe she's getting a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
She probably doesn't like that a little bit, but she also called me when we were leaving and finally got an answer for it. And I was like, can you just text me the stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Text me the phone. She's like, sure, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
in that regard,
she's been great.
Yeah,
she
in that
really
regard,
has.
It works well.
And I'm sure it's frustrating for her too, because she has no control over what happens in the back end with like manufacturing and stuff. She has like zero control over that. So all that she can do, like she's on the front lines trying to keep people happy, and I'm sure that that's a tough job.
Yeah, that's like working HR.
Yeah,
for a company
basically.
Where it's like, Johnny called Susie fat. And that offends me.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
what can you do for me? Like, how can you let them work here and do that?
It's
And I
all
would
about the
just say,
crisis management.
try again.
It takes a special person to be in that position,
Yeah,
but it felt really, really good to know that we're reaching a point where we're getting some resolution and everything. So that did feel really good.
it did. It did.
But I've been trying in the midst of oscillating between telling myself that everything is fine and then feeling stressed out and then trying to tell myself that everything's fine again. I've been trying to keep in mind the fact that this is a really important season, and I've been trying to be mindful of that and of all of the things that I love about the holidays and Christmas and New Year's. And so I thought that we would spend a little bit of time today talking about that. Um, it wasn't the original topic that I think we had planned out if we had gotten an episode out on Friday, but given the fact that Christmas is this weekend, which is insane to think about, I thought that we would just talk about our philosophy towards holidays and kind of how things have morphed for us over time and how we've grown into our perspective that we have now. So I thought we would kind of start with like the early days, because I know a lot of the reason why people love Christmas so much is because there's this sense of nostalgia attached to it,
Hmm.
and you're thinking about all of the memories that you made as a child and everything that the holiday represented for you then. And so I thought we could kind of start there and talk about
Yeah,
like what kind of perspective we had of it as children.
I like that idea. For me, can I start?
Yeah,
I can do it.
absolutely.
All right. For me, I mean, it's that whole very typical. You wake up on Christmas morning, and it's just started getting cold,
Mm.
which that's, I guess, a Texas thing. For other places, y'all probably been dealing with the cold for a while, but it's just started to get really cold, and you're there in your pajamas. You wake up, you like go wake your parents up. You're like, can we open presents? Ah, and all that stuff. And it's a really good time. It's kind of like if y'all have seen that movie with Tom Hanks, The Polar Express. It's like the
Yes.
whole Christmas spirit thing. Everybody's got lights. Um, it's just really exciting.
Hmm.
There's like a play going on somewhere, and it's just everything's built up to it. It's like, have you been a good boy? Are you gonna be on his nice or his naughty list? You're like, I'm on his nice list. A lot of times I probably wouldn't, but ir- regardless, not irregardless. That's not a word. Wow, I almost said that. But that was kind of what Christmas was. Um, as I clearly got older, I learned that Christmas, um, it's a religious holiday, and it symbolized Jesus being born, and the gifts were wise men bringing gifts, and so that whole gifting thing kind of came and made itself into what it is today, and it's bringing gifts. Um, but now being older, I see it more as our families are together.
Hmm.
You're spending quality time with them. You are, instead of getting gifts, you might be giving gifts
Hmm.
or giving sentiments,
Hmm.
things of that nature. And it's it's just completely changed into being around family and spending time and doing nice things for people and being
Hmm.
mindful of yourself,
Hmm.
and kind of along the lines of Christmas, being thankful. And for me, being a Christian, it's remembering um, Jesus' birth.
Hmm.
And that's kind of, maybe that was a really quick and
Hmm.
nitty gritty version of what it is for me. I'll expand on that, I guess, after you. Um, but Christmas, we don't get each other gifts
Hmm.
anymore. We do sentiments like we're going to cook a really nice meal together. I'm
Hmm.
going to slap a porterhouse on the cast iron, I got a feeling. And you can do whatever with whatever you eat.
Hmm.
Not not throwing you under the bus there, but
No.
you're probably not going to have a porterhouse cooked
no,
rare.
real good chance that's not happening.
Real good chance. We could have deer steaks.
Yeah, that's true.
You got a
I
backstrap.
haven't figured out our whole menu yet, but
Yeah.
I've got some. It's got good bones so far.
But we're gonna do stuff like make a really nice meal for each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna spend really quality time with our family.
Eat way too much food.
That's not a thing. Okay, that's your perception of it. I'm fine with some Tums and Alka-Seltzer. All right, I'll figure it out. My stomach will expand. What about you?
Well, I'm curious, like, growing up, did your parents put an emphasis on, like, Santa Claus and stuff? Like, did you guys do Santa Claus?
There wasn't really an emphasis on it. I will say that you got presents from mom and dad and from aunt and uncle and such and so forth. But you also got presents from Santa.
Okay, so it was like kind of sprinkled in there, but it wasn't like the main thing.
Yeah, no, it's not like Santa is the only reason for Christmas. Absolutely not. No.
Did you do like the milk and the cookies and the notes, or like writing the letter to Santa? Did you do that kind of thing?
No, but I had to go to bed and they were like, you can't get up tonight. You can't. If you hear things, you can't. But then like as I got older, maybe my parents kind of knew I started figuring it out. And I would have presents from Santa like 3 days before Christmas under the tree. And it's like, yeah, he's got a lot of places to go. You know, he's just he had to drop them off early. They got here before they were supposed to. Now I guess you would tell kids, oh yeah, he bought it off Amazon and Santa shipped it to you from Amazon and it got here quicker than. I don't know what they tell kids these days. Maybe something like that.
I don't know.
Santa's got prime delivery now.
I'm just curious because I know for a lot of people, like that's a huge emphasis. Like that's the magic of the season, kind of, is this idea that like these presents just magically appear underneath a tree. But it doesn't really seem like that was a huge part of it for you as a kid.
I think when I was very, very, very little, I probably already had it figured out and I just didn't admit it, so they would keep giving them to me.
Do you remember how old you were when you figured it out?
No, I was probably like 6 or 7.
Wow,
pretty young.
That's young.
Well, the thing is that the little label, it says who it's from. It was in my mom's handwriting.
Oh, wow. So you were like analyzing all this stuff as a 6-year-old.
Yeah, it was my mom. It's my mom's handwriting, and it's the same wrapping paper as everything else.
See, I think a lot of it has to do with how much you want to believe. Yeah. And I think you weren't so invested in the magic of it.
I was like, I can play this game.
Yeah, you just cared more so about like what you were getting. But like for me, the magic of it all was huge. Like the whole concept that some mystical being came in the night and left this incredible display of gifts underneath your tree while you were sleeping, like that captivated me from a really young age. And I was raised Catholic, so we didn't do Santa Claus, we did St. Nicholas, which is pretty common. It's literally the same thing, but it was more of like it was just putting a more Catholic spin on a secular holiday, because for Catholics that's a big part of it, is like desecularizing secular holidays as much as possible. So like we didn't do Halloween, we did All Saints Day, and instead of dressing up as like knights and fairies and stuff, we would dress up as like saints. And then we would do like St. Nicholas Day, which I think it's in the early part of December, I think. I can't honestly remember. But St. Nicholas, part of the reason why he is credited with bringing gifts to people is because during his life, and I'm not exactly sure how true it is and how much of it's become legend at this point, but I suppose you could say the legend of St. Nicholas is that he gave money and gifts to people kind of like on the DL when they didn't know it. He reached out and helped people who were struggling during his life, and like left help for them in unexpected ways. And so many thousands of years later, now you have this character, St. Nicholas, or Santa Claus, who comes and brings gifts. It's the same kind of thing, but St. Nicholas Day is like leading up to Christmas, and kids will leave out their slippers the night before. What? And then like parents will put, you don't know about this?
No, I'm not Catholic.
Parents will put like little gold coins, because that was one of the things he did, was he like, there were these two girls in the story who were like going to be sold into sex work because their father couldn't pay off his debts.
What?
And I'm not kidding, in the original St. Nicholas story. And he came and left gold in their, like, gold coins in their shoes, or he like dropped it through the window of their home and it fell into their shoes at night,
How did
and
he
they were
get in
able to
there?
pay off their father's debts and stuff.
How did he get in their house?
No, he like dropped it through the. It was back in the old days. They didn't have glass. This is like early, like I don't know when Saint Nicholas was
okay.
alive, but you know, it was like way back in the day. So no glass in the windows, and you just like dropped it through.
My hand is up. I have a question.
Okay.
Also, what do saints wear for All Saints Day? I thought they just wore like the robes and stuff.
No, you dress up as a saint.
Yeah,
so,
I
like,
know. So what do these saints look like? Like,
so like
they
for
clearly
example,
don't have a Wolverine mask on or something.
No, so like if you dress up as Saint Joan of Arc, then
Okay.
you'll be wearing like a suit of armor and carrying a shield and have like a cross on it. Or I remember one year, my brother Eli dressed up as Saint Francis of Assisi, who is the patron saint of animals, and so he wore like this brown like monk's robe, and my dad safety pinned like various stuffed animals to him. Like he had a monkey on his shoulder and like a little bear on his arm, and it was just like he was Saint Francis of Assisi, so he had all these animals around him. One year I went as Saint Kateri Tekakwitha, who I think
That's
is
a
the
mouthful.
only, yeah, I think she's the only Native American saint, and so highly culturally inappropriate for me to dress up as a Native American with like the regalia and everything. But I was 5 years old and I didn't know any better, so don't come for me if I ever try to run for public office. But anyway, I dressed up as her. So yeah, it's just, instead of dressing up as like ghouls and demons, you dress up as like holy people. That's
Okay.
the idea. It's
And sometimes red face.
sometimes. Jeez. Anyway, where was I? Oh, St. Nicholas Day. Wow. Okay, we went off on a tangent. So yeah, St. Nicholas Day, kids leave their shoes out and parents will put like little gold coins and like little religious like prayer books or whatever. And it's to commemorate St. Nicholas and his acts of charity during his life. Um, and then growing up, we did St. Nicholas instead of Santa Claus. And so we were taught that like St. Nicholas is the one that brings us gifts on Christmas Eve. And so there was no reindeer or anything like that. It was like a very, it was almost a very like Northern European kind of thing, I think. Because I don't think like Swedish and Icelandic peoples, I don't really know if they do the reindeer thing. I think they do like Father Christmas, and I don't know. Anyway, he didn't have reindeer or anything like that.
So how did he get around?
The Holy Spirit.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's not a bad answer. I can't argue with that.
I don't know. We were kids. We didn't look into it that much. It was just a magic man that brought us gifts. Anyway, this is taking way longer than it should for me to explain this, but the bottom line is I loved that and the magic of this season. I mean, yes, the focus was very much on the meaning behind everything, the birth of Christ, and the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, known as Advent. We always observed that. We had like the Jesse tree,
I don't know
which
what that is either.
they actually suggested they mentioned it at church a couple weeks ago.
Yes, they did.
It's basically a Christmas tree, but instead of ornaments, for the 4 weeks leading up, every single day of the week, you read a different Bible verse, all the way from Genesis up through the Old Testament, and then there's an ornament that you hang on the tree to signify that passage that you read, and it's basically telling the story of like the beginning of time leading up to the birth of Christ. So like I remember Noah's Ark, obviously. I remember the ornament for Noah's Ark had like a dove with a sprig of whatever, holly or whatever it was carrying when it came back. There's a verse in Isaiah about the stump of Jesse, and so it was like a little tree stump with a sprig coming out of it. That was what we hung on the tree that day. So it's just a way to acknowledge Advent and everything that led up to the birth of Christ. So that was a huge focus too. But the bottom line was like the magic of it all, with this like holy person bringing us gifts, and I really got invested in that, and I loved that. And I believed in it for a really, really long time until my mom had to sit me down and tell me, like, hey, we told you this because, we want this to be like a magical, special time, but just so you know, like, there is no magic man coming down. So that was a little bit of a bummer, and the magic kind of ended there. But even so, like, Christmas has continued to be one of my, if not my number one favorite holiday, because it continues to be a time of warmth and um, togetherness and community, at a time when people come together and they kind of lay aside their differences and unite. And I really, really love that aspect of it. And I also love the idea of like new beginnings, and with the new year coming back around and a fresh start. And there are a lot of little different bits and pieces from different Christmas traditions that I've kind of taken and integrated since I've become an adult that I really, really love. So, obviously, compared to when I was a child, Christmas means a very different thing to me now than it did then, but it still is really, really special. And I think you and I are on the same page in a lot of ways, because we value a lot of the same things for the holiday, which makes it really awesome because we're able to observe it together. And yeah, like you had mentioned, we don't really do gifts anymore. And I know when we first started talking about that publicly last year, that like kind of blew people's minds a little bit. I think people had a little bit of a negative reaction to it. Like, I don't know if you picked up on that at all, but I kind of did.
It was because we were doing something different. I mean, I don't know, I don't know about negative, but it's just like, well, that's really different.
But it didn't come from any kind of like, we weren't trying to be like preachy or anything by saying that.
No.
It was just that we really wanted to take this holiday, which has become, we think, overly like secularized and commercialized, and kind of bring it back to basics a little bit. Bring it back to something wholesome and good, and not make it so much about like the stuff.
Yeah, seriously. It used to be after Thanksgiving, like after Black Friday, they started putting Christmas stuff out. And they started doing it before. And now it's even before.
It's even before Halloween.
And All Saints Day now, that I know when that is.
Yeah, it's really gotten crazy.
And it's like, if you don't buy this $300, $500 thing, if you don't buy all these expensive things for people, or if you don't do this and do that, and that doesn't, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but Christmas shouldn't be about making sure you spend the money to make someone happy, in my opinion.
No.
I find happiness in other ways. That doesn't mean everybody else's way is wrong.
Right, not at all.
Not at all. But it's just, everything is so commercialized. I mean, in my mind, when I think about the major holidays of the year, okay, we've got Valentine's Day. That is extremely commercialized.
Very.
We've got Easter, which is now turned into a commercialized Easter bunny. We've got, I see the Memorial Day and Veterans Day. I mean, and okay, you can go buy flags for it and stuff. Those are not really commercialized too much.
Not as much, but everybody has sales.
Yeah, but everybody has sales. You've got the 4th of July, which is a giant sales day.
Yeah.
Giant sales time for barbecue pits, for fireworks, for beer, everything in between. And let's see, you've got Thanksgiving. Everybody's got to go out and buy all this stuff to decorate. Halloween, you've got to get all this stuff because everybody's grown out of their costume from last year, and you're not going to reuse it, so you got to go get stuff for that. Then Christmas, you got to get stuff for that, and then New Year's is like a just collaboration of all that junk thrown into one, where it's beer, fireworks, food, stuff, and everything in between. And it's
a chaotic disaster.
Well, the whole year is, if you think of it, like every single one of those days is one of those times that you got to go get all that stuff. And maybe it's because we have a lack of space in an RV, but it's like, at some point, why do you need the days to do that? Just go do it because you want to at some point.
Mm-hmm.
If you and I want to, I mean, you bought me some pajama pants and t-shirts, and I didn't know you were going to do that.
High roller.
Yeah, high balling, Wally World shopping. Yeah. But you don't need a holiday to go get somebody stuff. You don't need to be, you don't need to be told or expected to get people things.
Yeah, exactly.
I know everybody sees it a little bit differently, or people could see that differently. I'm not saying anybody doing it that way is doing it wrong, but I hate the commercialization of everything.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, there was definitely a time in my life, I would say in my like very early 20s, where I really loved giving gifts and like going out of my way to send people thoughtful things. But a big part of that was because I was extremely separated from my family, and aside from a phone call, I had no real way to connect with anybody. And I missed a lot of holidays and a lot of special days because of the fact that I was overseas. And so picking out a thoughtful gift and making sure that it got to people by a certain day or whatever, that gave me it made me feel good because it made me feel like I was doing something to have an impact when I didn't have a whole lot of options. So, I don't think that that was necessarily like a bad thing or anything like that, but now that I am no longer in that life and I am able to be present with people and to take the time to go and spend time with people and connect, that to me is more meaningful than anything ever could be. And I know people have different feelings about that, and it almost kind of comes back to like the whole like the love languages, and like and I don't know what they all are off the top of my head, but I know one of them is like receiving gifts or giving gifts, and another one is like quality time, and another one is like physical touch. It's all different things that resonate with people in different ways. And I know for you and I both, we're really big on quality time and physical touch. And it's like those two things to us are more precious than any like object ever could be. It's like if you really care about me and want me to be in your life, then show me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me in a card. Don't send me a text. I mean, you sometimes you have to do that because you're separated by miles, but if you really want me in your life and you value me, then make me feel that, like show me. And I think that there's kind of been a little bit of a perversion in our culture just because of the fact that we live in a capitalistic society where the emphasis on making someone feel special has shifted from showing them and like taking that effort upon yourself to just like giving them something and hoping that that thing conveys the message for you. And I would say probably within the last 3 years or 2.5 years that we've been together, it kind of happened at the same time where we just kind of began to shift how we viewed holidays. And we had a conversation about it, and we both were just like, this isn't how we want to acknowledge the holiday anymore. Like, we don't want to feel like we are obligated to give gifts because it's just what's expected. If we want to do that because we want to. And if we don't want to, we want to feel like we have the option to go and spend that time and to put in that effort and to build those relationships within our own relationship and then also throughout the rest of our family. And so removing the whole gift thing as a variable completely, I think has simplified things a lot, and it's allowed us to kind of come back to basics and rebuild what this holiday and all holidays really mean for us. And not everybody is going to love that. And I completely understand. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with somebody who really loves to give gifts or really loves to receive them. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But for us, it became something that we really needed to do.
Gift giving also, it gets competitive.
I hate that.
And I hate that. And hard to compete with your time and it be uh, disingenuine. If you're spending your time with someone else, your effort on someone else, then I truthfully think that time is the thing that we have all of until we have none of.
Yeah.
And it's the most valuable thing. And if you can spend time and effort interacting with people, with showing them your love, your compassion, your friendliness, then that is probably, to me, I mean, of course, it'd be. I'm not the guy that has a blank check that's like, here's my love.
Yeah.
But with my time, I mean, I give you a blank check, and that's the most valuable thing that I can give you is my time, my energy, and love. I mean, it just comes down to love languages, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that, you know, by removing that whole gift aspect, I don't know, it always felt to me, I've always been kind of uncomfortable with knowing that people are spending money on me. Like that's really just not something like that doesn't make me feel special. It makes me feel really uncomfortable because money is just, you need it to live, but I don't love it, and I never really have.
Yeah.
And it's just it's not special and it's not unique.
That would be like if you and I were together, and it's like, hey, I'm never gonna see you. Just let me give you money. Why would you want? I mean, why would you want to be with someone if they only gave you money? Like,
right.
I don't want your money. Okay, I want your time.
Yeah, and I can make my own money,
Right.
but I can't make another you or another Liz or another Dennis or, you know,
Annie or David.
Exactly.
Put them in there too.
Well, I just, you know,
I know what you mean.
Those are irreplaceable people, and I would rather put my time and energy toward and money and gas and travel and everything like that to spend time, because like you say, it's the one thing we have an unlimited amount of until we have none of. So, you know, and I guess there are, you know, obvious there's a flip side of this too. It's kind of something we heard somebody talk about a few weeks ago, where they were like, you know, saying like, oh, I'm going to pray for you, or you're in my thoughts. It's a really nice thing to say, but like if they don't have a roof over their head, it kind of falls short. And so I think if you can take that time or that money and put it towards something else or towards helping someone else, like that is to me more genuine. And I'm not saying like we all need to be running around being philanthropists or something. There's already a lot of people doing that, but just to reach outside of yourself and maybe even outside of your family unit during this time of year too, because this is a really difficult time for so many people. And you know, most of us, we don't, the last thing we need is more stuff. Like we really don't need any more stuff. But most of us have more than we need, and to be able to share that with somebody else, I think, is really, really special too. So there's like a myriad different ways that you could approach the holidays and kind of like put your own spin on it. And this is just how we have started to kind of put our own spin on things. Because I think there's a time and a place for giving and receiving gifts, but it has started to feel very overdone, and neither of us are crazy about that. So
I think it's interesting that you say that about reaching outside too, of like just your family and stuff like that. Because for a lot of people, they might not have that whole family thing. And this could be a very, very lonely time for people. So going outside of your family, seeing friends that you haven't seen in a long time, that's really cool. We got to do some of that actually this week. We went to that wedding that we talked about. Saw friends of mine that I haven't seen since, one of them that was there since he got married 3 years ago, and we just picked it up like it was nothing. And it's just, really nice to have good, genuine interactions with people.
Yeah, but it's funny because again, that comes back to time.
Hmm.
Like that's not something you can't fake that, and you also
Yeah,
can't package that in a box and give that.
right.
Like that's something else.
Yeah. And also, we went to a friend of mine, and I got some truck parts from him. And I truthfully, you you may not think this, I don't know, but the reason you went along with me is one, to be with me and spend your time with me,
Mhm.
but because you genuinely like those people too,
Mhm.
and to potentially spend some time with them. And we ended up spending a couple hours, and
Mhm.
that was great. I mean,
Yeah.
those are the ones that we left thinking like, um,
Like our two couples are very similar in a lot of ways, and including like life choices and like lifestyles. And it's so funny when we came together and it was like, wow, we are very similar, and this is like kind of awkward, but we're having so much fun. It was great.
yeah,
And yeah, I went because I wanted to spend time with them. I wanted to see Jay. I wanted to see
Kayla.
Kayla, and just I wanted to see their dogs. Like I just wanted to talk to them because it had been so long. And you know,
Instagram pictures of the dogs only do so
yeah, it
much.
only gets you so far. And I just, yeah, I want to do as much as I can to build strong positive relationships with people that I value and appreciate. And I just don't think that anything can replicate that or do that for you. So yeah, it's just it, I don't know exactly what precipitated this shift in my perspective, because I very much used to be all about like the gifts and everything. But again, I think it goes back to just that's the season of my life at that point. Like that's where I was, and that was the best way that I had to show my love. But now it's like I have another way. Why wouldn't I do that?
I have a pretty good idea as to what changed it with us.
Hmm.
So we were in the Navy up until a couple years ago, both of us, and not that you're like poor or anything, but you very much try and ball on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was we got together in the fall of 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was the Christmas after right then, and it happened in conversation of like, hey, how much are we spending? Because like we don't want somebody to spend like $1,000 on the other. Only
Yeah.
spends like $40 on this little hair scratcher thing. The little skull crusher thing that looked kind of like a whisk. Remember that thing? That was funny.
It's a hair massager or a
Yeah,
scalp massager.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't want
Weird.
somebody to get that and the other one get like $1,000 worth of crap. And so I think we like set a budget,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next year, Christmas 2018, we set a budget, but it was only like 40 or $50
Mm-hmm. It
for
was
each
less
other.
than the year
Yeah,
before.
and it was like, well, yeah, no, I mean, we were driving 8 hours to see each other for a weekend at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, we're investing this time, and, and I don't want the stuff. I just want you to come see me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just like, come see me.
Yeah, and you would ask me too, like, so is there anything you want? And that's it's such an interesting question because I think probably it depends on the person, but most of the time if somebody asks me that, I'm like, I don't want anything.
Hmm.
Like not really. Like there's things I would like to have, but I can get them myself.
Hmm.
Like I don't really want anything. I don't like I have a roof over my head and I'm incredibly blessed and I have a great life. Like I don't really need any more stuff. And yeah, I guess that's true. It's just like Christmases since we've been together have gotten simpler and simpler, and we've continued to kind of hone in on the things that we actually care about.
Doesn't mean we don't get each other things
True.
or do things for each other, but it's just become more personal than
Mm-hmm.
just trying to like surprise someone on one day out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you should be making an active effort and pursuit to get to know each other better, to
Mm-hmm.
do sweet things for the other all year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait till Christmas or somebody's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then there was also the fact that it was like your birthday was very quickly after Christmas. And so it
Mm-hmm.
was like adding all these things together is like,
It's
just go
kind of
there.
ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it's like, do I get her? Is this, should I label this Christmas? Should I label this birthday? It's like, should I just go there and see her?
Mm-hmm.
And I just went there and saw you.
Mm-hmm. So this year for Christmas, we aren't doing any gifts. My mom sent us a beautiful, thoughtful, wonderful box full of like, it had like granola and some dried fruit and gummy bears and like all kinds of just delicious stuff from a bulk food store back in Indiana. And so that is what is in our stockings right now. But we are going to take the time to cook a meal together, and I can't personally think of a better way to spend our Christmas. Like, to me, that is ideal.
And we don't have to leave and then drive like an hour to get back and then be tired when we get home. We can just eat our nice meal, watch Yellowstone, and just go to bed with full bellies and hearts.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's our philosophy towards everything, and I think every year it evolves a little bit more. And it's funny, I think I was talking to my mom about this. It's like I never saw myself being like much of a minimalist or anything, and I don't think I'll ever be one of those people who like only owns 2 pairs of jeans and like 5 shirts and they all look the same or something like that. But there are aspects of minimalism. You might, but not because you're like in love with minimalism. I think it'd just be because that's who you are.
It's comfortable and I like that color. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. But there are aspects of minimalism that I really, really like. And I think the biggest thing about it is like this return to basics and to better values. And as I get older, that's something that I am coming back to over and over again. And I'm like finding these traditions that feel more intentional and more pure, and implementing those in our life feels really, really good. And of course, I mean, this is not to say like if you're listening to this and you're somebody who loves the whole gift thing and like you love going shopping on Black Friday, and that is like where you really get your rocks off. This is not me like saying that you're wrong for that. It takes all kinds, and I think you have to find the path that is right for you and take meaning where you can. And that's going to look different for everybody. I don't think everybody should do the same thing because then it would be boring.
Everybody needs to be different.
100%.
Christmas will be pretty simple for us. We're going to go spend some time with my family since we're so close to them. And, well, actually, we are kind of bringing a gift.
A pie.
Yeah, we're bringing a pie.
It's edible.
We're bringing
though.
a pecan pie. I
mean, edible gifts are a different matter.
There's this lady that lives about 5-10 minutes from here, and her business is called The Pie Lady. And let me tell you,
famous locally.
Rebecca didn't know what the fuss was about with pecan pies and
I did not.
And with kolaches and stuff like that. I mean, you've had a little bit of all that, but it's like, no, this is like the epitome of that. I mean,
quality.
It's probably got like 16 eggs in it and 4 pounds of sugar, and then like 1 pound of pecan and pie crust. But it's amazing stuff like that. So that is a really awesome lady. If you're ever in near College Station or Flynn, Texas, folks, let me tell you, look up the Pie Lady on Facebook. It's funny. She's one of those older women, and she's really active on Facebook, and she like takes pictures of her stuff, and
she's got a hustle. Like she's very successful.
Yeah.
You really have to admire it. And yeah, her baked goods are out of this world, and everybody always loves them. And I could have made a dessert for Christmas like I did over Thanksgiving, but I'll be honest with you, I just really didn't feel like it. And it wouldn't be as good, I know, as her pecan pie. So I just decided to buy one of those, support a local business, and bring that, and that'll be my contribution to the Griffin family Christmas.
Yeah, no offense. Your pecan pie would probably taste
as
good as hers.
We'll pick
up a tub of Bluebell and bring it with us too. Folks, if you want to know how to eat, come to Texas. We fry everything, including ice cream, actually. And it's been fun. I like kind of talking on these podcasts and kind of just shooting the shit. We have trouble sometimes sitting down, like you said, and doing it. But once we've done it, it's like it's like we act like we're gonna go get our teeth pulled, and really all they did was just like
sit and talk to each other.
Yeah. Our teeth talk to each other?
No, sit and talk to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, you were gonna continue with the dentist analogy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Our teeth talk to each other. Well, I guess you could say that if you talk with your teeth like that. But No.
You're a freaking weirdo.
Whatever. Instead of this being like pulling teeth, they're just going and getting a quick cleaning.
Mm-hmm. I think the bottom line in all this, and then we'll wrap it up. And I guess I kind of already said this, but I'll restate it, and then we'll move on. Just find a way to make things meaningful. Really meaningful. Don't go through the motions and do something. And this applies to all kinds of things. This isn't just in regards to Christmas, but have a good reason for why you do something, and try to add value, especially to your community, to your family, and your relationships. And that's going to look different for everybody. So regardless, just try to keep that in the back of your mind and the bottom of your heart, um, especially during this time of year. And if you have the opportunity to reach out and have a positive impact on somebody, be it someone you know that you haven't connected with in a really long time, or a stranger, take that and do that, because I like to say we're all just ripples in a pond, and over the long term you have no way of knowing how a momentary interaction is going to have an outsized impact on somebody's life in the long term. So
I like that saying. We're all just ripples in a pond.
thank you. Yeah. So
Is that something you came up with?
I think so. Probably not. There's nothing new under the sun. I'm sure somebody else has already said it before, but
That's true.
but that's where I'll leave it.
You want to get to our feel-good story?
Yeah, I really like this week's story.
So we were sitting down before the podcast and looking through. I'm not going to give away all my resources for where I get my stuff, because then you wouldn't need me. You guys wouldn't need me to tell you these things. And my content would be less valuable. But I've got this one, and the title of it reads, "The Dog Cafe That Brought a Neighborhood Together." It's in Canada. And it says, "In this dog-eat-dog world, where's a weary pooch supposed to go for a break? If you live near Toronto's High Park, you might stop at the free snack bar for pups that Kea Christina set up on her front lawn. Christina started off small. A few years ago, she began putting out bowls of water for tired, thirsty dogs on their way home after a romp in the park. When the pandemic hit and Christina was cut off from friends and family, she expanded her front yard's offerings to include dog biscuits, beef liver bites, dried chicken tenders, and even a stick library. We'll include the picture later, but imagine that there's just smorgasbord of buckets full of sticks for dogs to look through. Now christened Star Pups, complete with its own Instagram account, the Pups of High Park, Christina's yard has become a popular community hub, as beloved by human residents as canines." I think it's pretty sweet.
That is so funny. I love it.
We will put up some pictures from their Instagram page.
And tag them too. You've got to go check out their Instagram. It's so cute. The Pups of High Park. It is adorable. And I did a little bit of like Instagram stalking before we hit record. And the lady Christina, her own Instagram is completely devoted to like animal rescue. And I saw some like other random stuff in there, but it's like primarily animal rescue. And I just love that. And I love what she's done. And if you know anything like about dogs, or maybe you have a dog that's like this, like River is obsessed with sticks. Like,
she's like, SOS, save our sticks. Anytime you throw them, she's like, I gotta go get it and save it, no matter where you throw it.
We'll be trying to build a bonfire in the backyard, and she'll be like trying to drag sticks out of the bonfire as we're putting them in. She just loves them. And anyone who gives them cookies is automatically their friends, Apollo and River both. And who doesn't love like connecting with somebody's pet? Like, it's just such a pure, joyful thing. So yeah, I love that story.
It's funny you say that if somebody gives them a treat. You are not safe if you wear an orange apron at Home Depot anymore.
No, absolutely
because of
not.
that one guy up in Connecticut always had treats for the dogs. He was a little weird, but he set them up. He set Apollo up to think that every person in an orange apron has treats. So I apologize if you work at Home Depot and my dog wants what's in your apron.
Regardless of whether or not there's treats in there, he's going to check just to be sure.
He's going to check. But their Instagram page has stuff like all the dogs from like Halloween that stopped by.
Dressed up in little costumes. Like there was one that was dressed up as like a UPS delivery man. It was so cute.
They have like a menu set up, and it's like Star Pups coffee instead of Starbucks. It's got like little beef liver bites, all kinds, and it's like pups eat free. And there's a bucket with sticks in it. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I just thought that was a cool little story.
I thought it was too. Hopefully it made you smile. I mean, I don't know. Stuart and I both absolutely love animals and we love dogs, and there's nothing better than seeing a happy dog, so
I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas and have good quality time with your loved ones. And I really appreciate all of you that listen. Right now, we have a very limited audience, I realize. But each and every one of you is important to us in some way or the other.
Yeah.
And we love all of you.
Me too.
And our appreciation will not be there in the form of gifts. It will be there in the form of our time.
And we'll be back next week for another episode. We are going to take this coming Friday off because we're going to be heading into Christmas, and we would rather spend the time focusing on the season and family and each other. So we hope that you have the opportunity to do some of the same. Don't forget that you can follow us over on Instagram. We'll be sharing pictures from the show and from the story that we read, and it's a good way to connect with us outside of the podcast if you're at all interested. If you're listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher, and you have the ability to rate and review, please do, because it really does help us out. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so that you are aware whenever we release new episodes. And yeah, thank you for your continued support and love. It means the most. But I'm Rebecca.
I'm Stuart.
And this has been our ramble.